back to Greenlands, and take two at trying to record this commentary because someone forgot to start the recording. Yeah, there's a problem between the keyboard and the chair, it would appear. Anyway, today we are going to get a bunch of the fields that are going to have our wheat, oats and barley planted in finished off. So we need to do some liming, we need to do some rock picking, and we need to do some ploughing. Yeah, so that's what we're going to get done today. There's a little bit of animal feeding mixed in as well because we have Made Plus on, so we're always going to be feeding animals. Yeah, so this is the second time I have recorded this intro piece. I only got a few minutes in before I realised that the recording, I think it might have stopped. I think I hit the keyboard and stopped it. So take two. I think I just said that. It really throws me when this happens. I was in quite a nice flow talking about stuff, and having to reset it has completely thrown me. Anyway, what was I saying? So this is another video of me hitting about 30 minutes in length. Seemed to be that was a popular decision from the couple of comments that I had. It works for me because it's about how long I like to play for an episode. Gets me about 30 minutes of footage. So in here there is a mixture of courseplay and me working. I can't remember if I've said that in this recording or not, and that's basically because I need to have multiple jobs running at once because this is quite a big farm, and we just need to get things done because otherwise the videos start to grow, or I throw a lot of time-lapse in, and not using time-lapse footage seems to have been more popular. The video would still be about the same length, but there would be more time-lapse in it, and yeah, people seem to enjoy not having any time-lapse. It's I still play the way I enjoy playing. The editing is easier, in fact, and it's all about 30 minutes, so I'd still be doing a voiceover for about that long. We just maybe can't cram as many jobs in, so I'm not going to get all of the fields that we work on today planted because that would have taken a lot longer. And I'm still finding the balance of how much to show versus how much to skip and all that kind of thing. So the scale of this farm, I had got pretty settled with it before, but obviously it's been a while since I played this, so it's just getting back into the habit of making videos for a much bigger farm where I have a lot more going on. Going to be getting most of the tractors out today, or most of the bigger tractors. So one of the things I love about this farm is the range of equipment that we have. We have quite a diverse lineup of field working tractors, and yeah, I enjoy that. It's nice to have got some of my favorites on here, got some different ones that I enjoy using. So yeah, we'll have we get the big class out, the John Deere ARX, the big Deutz, the T7, yeah. It's a smorgasbord of tractors. One thing that I want to try and do much earlier in the videos is, if you're enjoying the video already, click the like button. Most people forget, so go click the like button now. If at some point through the video you've got a comment or a suggestion or whatever, throw it in. You don't have to watch the whole video before you wait to comment, and if you're watching and you think you might enjoy this content and you're not, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Most people that watch still aren't subscribed. I think it's about 58% aren't subscribed. And when I hit 5,000 subscribers, which is a way off, I'm going to admit that could be 6 months or more, I'm going to do a giveaway. So, and it will be a subscriber only giveaway. So make sure you get subscribed. I still have no idea how I'm going to do that. It might not be a subscriber only. I don't know. But I am going to do it when I get to 5,000 subscribers, just to pay back to the community because it's awesome. So I realised that the cows have almost no food. Literally, I think there's like 1,000 litres left or something. So we need to make some TMR. I had planned to do a really quick mix of 10% grass, 90% maize, but that meant I needed to switch the recipe. And I can't because I've started putting stuff in, and grass silage isn't part of the next recipe in the switcher. So we're going to make some more young stock mix. I'm going to use maize silage obviously more because we have a lot of maize silage. So the young stock mix is predominantly a mixture of hay, grass or maize silage, and straw. So we're going to do quite a lot of silage because we have quite a lot of silage. We have a decent amount of hay and straw on the farm still, actually, but yeah. When I loaded the save up, I got into the field work. I'd left the tractor prepped to get stuck in, and then checked the animal menu and went, oh dear, my cows are almost out of food, and I don't want the productivity to nosedive. So yeah, sticking some straw in, just getting towards the top of the limit on straw, and then filling up with hay and hoping that I still have enough straw in there. I didn't do any. I completely winged this recipe. Normally I don't, but actually I would say about half the time I kind of wing it. You get a feel for roughly how much you need to put in of each ingredient, and yeah, so we got a TMR mix, so that's good. Doesn't matter what the ratio is as long as it comes up as TMR, and we're going to get these cows some feed. You can see how empty the trough is. Yeah. We also need to do straw, but that's not so critical. Although the beds look pretty empty, there is still some straw in there. So, yeah. I need to have a look, actually, at how much manure we're getting as well, because I think it's going to be quite a lot. So, on to the rock picking, but yeah, talking about manure. So, I did the most profitable, or not most, but the sort of the finances with chickens and maize plus yesterday. And I hinted that I'd been starting to do the prep for dairy. I use large numbers of animals on those to reduce some of the error in working out some of the values. And I started off with 1,000 cows, and I skipped ahead a month and had nearly 1 million litres of manure. The manure silo was just completely full already. So I had to scale that back because I realised that wasn't going to be workable to run it for long enough to get some decent numbers, because cows change over time more than chickens do. Yeah, that shocked me. I did the whole skip a month, and it was basically skipping the entire month from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. and the amount of manure that appeared was insane. So with 160 cows on here, I think we're going to be getting, probably over 100,000 litres of manure a month, which is pretty nuts, and that's going to have to go through the BGA. Basically, which is good because that will generate income. That will also generate digestate, which we put through the dryer to make fertilizer, which will also generate income. So I actually have fertilizer sat that we need to sell. I keep forgetting there's a trailer full in one of the sheds, plus the Meridian that I have that you can just see in the distance there, in the middle of the yard, is also full, I think. So yeah. And you can see we have the fence still running with the lime spreader over on Courseplay there. Yeah, making fertilizer was actually one of the big incomes in this series in the first year. I think milk is probably going to overtake that, although also if we're producing as much manure as I think, that will be keeping the BGA busy, and generating lots of electricity and methane. So yeah, actually what I might do, I don't think I've ever really used it, is I've got the methane powered T6 that I made on here. I also made an electricity powered case, the old case that Giants did. I sort of converted that to an electrically powered version, and it might be fun to bring that on as well. Like 200 horsepower or something, so it's quite a useful tractor. And using methane and electricity obviously is good for the environment, yay, and we produce it on the farm, so that's the other bonus. We don't have to buy it in, although if we don't buy it in, we sell it, so maybe it doesn't matter. Anyway, the rock picker. So this is by Iconic, because I had a few questions last time I used it. I think the link is in one of the other videos, and yeah, I think it's a 9 meter working width. It holds 50,000 litres of rocks and goes quite fast, and it makes rock picking tolerable for me. I am not a fan of rock picking generally, particularly with the smaller rock pickers, so this does the job well. And it produces rocks that we put through the rock crusher and make lime, and we sell the lime. Again, we are diverse ways of making money was the key on this farm early on to start bringing some cash in. I think now the cows are going to have it sorted for us, which is good because previously I had planned to. We had 4 million litres of silage up at the big BGA, which I had planned to put through the BGA and then sell all of the byproducts, and that would have made us a load of money. And now we need to feed that to the cows. So yeah. I think that kind of balances out that the cows make us more money, but we don't make so much money from the silage that we are producing. So yeah, that's kind of cool. So I'm just going to set this off on course play whilst I get set up to plough field 55, and we're going to use the two non-cheaty ploughs that I have and a bit of double course play because I quite enjoy that. It's yeah, I'm sad. I enjoy doubling up on the course play stuff. I tend to find it leaves a little bit of a gap, but it's good enough. It's good enough. So yeah, the T7 is already over in field 55 with one of the ploughs, and we've got the Deutz 8 to 80 linking up to the other one. I do love these Deutz tractors. I think the new Hurleyman that was released is based because they are actually made by the same company. I think like quite a lot of different things. So that is quite a nice looking tractor. The last time I watched a Tom Pemberton video, it's been a while. They had their Hurleyman on demo. I don't know if they still do. Yeah, I've not watched one of his videos in a little while. Been diversifying what I watch. And in fact, what I'm curious about, and again, actually let's do this first. So we're doing a 2 implement course plate course. You will see now no cursor offset. I did fix it. So we're going for 8 headlands with 2 tools, 4 headlands with 2 tools. So that's effectively 8 headlands. We are going to start on the up-down rows. And that's basically it. What I forget to do is change this tractor to first waypoint, so we have a little bit of fun there. You can see in the HUD, this one is set to left 1. There are only 2, so this would be left 1 and right 1 are the 2 options. And copied the course using the little clipboard at the bottom of the course plate menu. We'll get that one going. So if we hit that same button again, it brings the course into this tractor. We click on the left one, it changes it to right 1, and off we go. So yeah, you can see the Deutz is running off on one of the headlands, right, not the up-down rows that we need it on. So we'll have to fix that before we get going. But this is one of my favourite ways to plough larger fields in FS when I have the kit. Actually, depending on my mood, I quite like just sitting in a tractor with a plough, ploughing a field. Yeah, so what I was going to talk about, I've been diversifying my YouTube viewing a lot lately. There's a bit less farm sim, a bit less farming actually, though not so much Ollie Blogs and Joe Seals or Tom Pemberton lately, and a bit more geeky stuff, some really random gaming. I found a guy called The Real Civil Engineer. He's got a huge YouTube channel, and he plays City Skylines and a couple of other sort of, you know, building engineering type games, and I quite enjoy it. It's a little bit childish sometimes. It's borderline too childish for some of the stuff, but actually it's quite interesting. So yeah, it's quite funny. So I'm enjoying him at the moment, and I'm kind of curious, who are you watching on YouTube? Are you still watching Platinum DLC content? I got quite into watching VF's Platinum DLC series, but it got, and I think probably like a lot of them, it got a bit repetitive. It's like, today we're going to cut down trees and deliver them to a sell point. And then I watched a bit of Mr. CDP's, and it was, we're going to cut down trees and deliver them to a sell point. I've only watched 1 or 2 episodes of his. So yeah, I found they got a bit repetitive. So you still watching Platinum DLC content? Who are you watching from the world of Farm Sim or YouTube in general? Because yeah, it's kind of curious as to what my viewers watch. Farm Sim wise, mostly I'm watching Cartech, which is kind of, yeah, he makes good videos. You know, it makes very enjoyable content. I tend to, and I think maybe a few people do, think of him as almost the. He has a lot of similarities with Mr. CDP in. Maybe it's because he's a console player, or he was a console player. But yeah, I just really enjoy his videos. He doesn't go so heavy on the narrative a lot of the time, and yeah, it's fun. So that's who I'm watching farm sim wise mostly. There are a bunch of others that I should be watching. December Farms, I started watching his videos and they're really good, but I say I'm watching less farm sim at the moment. So I'm still really enjoying playing farm sim, but you know, there's only so many hours in the day to watch videos, and other things have got my interest at the moment. I'm really enjoying still, which is I've very rarely actually been camping. I'll probably count on my hand the number of times I've been camping on one hand. But I really enjoy watching YouTube camping content. There's a couple of English guides. Quickly just say thank you to patrons and the YouTube channel members. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Jay, cool, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy watching YouTube camping content. I don't know if it's the whole escapism thing, you know, but yeah, a couple of English guys that I like watching. Camping with Steve that I mentioned before, he's back creating content, and yeah, really enjoy his stuff. Yeah, it gets me to see other parts of the world as well. Quite a lot of them are Canadians that I like watching. I should go to Canada at some point because it looks really nice. So, just getting, whilst the other two tractors plough, I thought it would be a good opportunity to crack on with the RX and get the rock picking done at the same time. It's really weird that it's, I guess it's because there's no rocks actually. Ignore me. It doesn't rock pick the unploughed texture, and that's because I think there's no rocks to pick, and it's in a harvested state, and you wouldn't guess rock pick, or the game won't let you rock pick in the harvested state. There's quite a few missed bits, but I'm going to ignore them. We're going to be direct drilling the field anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that's this field now ploughed, limed, ploughed and rock picked. So those three fields are ready. We still have field 41 and 42 that are going to be oats, I believe, and they have grass growing in them, so I am hoping that in October we can get a cut of grass off them before we plough them in. And that's why I'm hanging on to those two fields, because we need grass silage, basically. We do not have a huge amount of grass silage on the farm. So, yeah, we need grass silage. We actually have grass we can mow waiting, which may be a job for the last day of September. I'm going to have a couple of these fields left to plant when this video finishes. But then, yeah, up at the big BGA and the Greenlands wildlife area that we turned into a farmland. Around the trees that I planted, there is grass waiting to be mown, so we may get that done as well. In fact, we probably should, because it would be a waste not to, because it's in the harvest ready state. Although we're not going to get another cut off it this year, so we could just wait and cut it in October, when hopefully the grass that's up there in the mega field is also ready to silage. That will give us an insane amount of silage. So I need to have a word with Casa and see if he's got a version of the bale storage that does grass silage, because that would be kind of helpful with how much we're going to have. Because the bunkers will still be full. If not, we might have to put some more fermenting silos in. That's another option. But that's this field sorted. So we just need to get that kit parked up and cleaned, which I have done, and we now have the Horst hooked up to the Xerion 3800, and I'm just trying to get some fertilizer out of the fertilizer bin. So I run Proceed on here. You might have spotted in the harvested fields there are the remnants of tramlines. I remembered they're called tramlines. I don't always forget that. We don't have any more seed on the farm, so hopefully this is enough. But we'll get some more in. I'm not sure actually if it's seed on the trailer there. Might be. That might be seed. It might be okay. Yeah, we've got some fertilizer and stuff in the shed over here, some liquid fert and some herbicide and stuff. Yeah, so we're going to get some barley planted into field 76. Do like this tractor. It's just a really nice combination with the drill. So yeah, proceed. I have set to 27 meter tram lines, not 75. And I run it on semi-automatic mode. That means every time I lower the seeder, it increments the track by 1. I don't use, I use the GPS built in to VCA, which isn't integrated in the same way that Wopster's GPS is to go into fully automatic mode, but I am quite comfortable using the semi-automatic mode. So yeah, we're going to run 3 headlands on here. I'm really bad at normally trying to stop at 2, and that tends to screw things up. So we're going to run the full 3 headlands on here. Yeah, and we're running automatic fertilizer application, so that will take this field to almost perfect fertilizer. If we want to get perfectly perfect, we can use the crop scanner in the spring when it's grown enough that we can get that extra little bit of fertilizer on. I have seen people say that you can just come along and apply 5 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, and that pretty much does the job without worrying about the scanner. That is not something I have tested, but maybe at some point I might. I use precision farming on every save now, but I've stepped away from worrying about the details. But that is an interesting one, as to instead of worrying about running the crop scanner over, you just apply a blanket 5 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, because that's about what the crop scanner does. There's a little bit of variance there, but not a lot. So yeah, I'm kind of curious as to whether that is of benefit. Have a fairly full list of tutorials at the moment to run through, so yeah, I might add that to the list. So we've done the first headland. Now we need to put in the first tram line. So I'm still not sure of the best way to put tram lines in, but what I try and do with this first one on the headland is start it at the field boundary so that our sprayer can go straight into a tram line. At the moment, the farms around here, I can't really see them, but every time I go out with the dogs and we get down to the farm tracks, I do try and look at how they do their tram lines. I have not got the tram line visualization on. It still puts it in, but I prefer it with the visualization on. So yeah, and I'm not sure why I have Courseplay open still, because I'm driving this. Courseplay does work with Proceed using the semi-automatic mode. It does a reasonably good job, actually. You probably want to put it on up-down rows first. The only bit you really lose is the junction between the headland and the up-down rows, and I find that that's generally quite difficult to get done nicely anyway. So for this seeder, the seeding is done around those first set of wheels, but the tram line is done at the back. So it's kind of hard to get the two really well married up, but yeah, I still like the visualization. I do not care that I take a bit of a hit on yield. I think it looks cool. Key thing, don't use it on contracts, because it'll stop you completing the contract, because you will have not quite seeded enough for it to count. I know this because I've done it, and I was mighty annoyed because it was a really big contract, and the tram lines were enough that you couldn't finish the contract. So yeah, that was a little bit annoying. So things are getting back to normal here. So I'm still trying to record the commentaries and videos that need voiced before work. That's sort of working. And then I can edit in the evening and upload, basically. So I'm a few videos ahead now. It's Tuesday, and this should be Thursday's video. I need to get a little bit more ahead, and things will be back to being comfortable. Work is progressing, so it's still really busy, but we're making good progress, and I have a deadline tomorrow, which I should be ready to hit later today. I'm just waiting for someone to get online to help me finish up the details, and then the next deadline I have is Monday. But I'm moderately optimistic that we might hit that by Friday. I'd really like to, because it wouldn't be hanging over me over the weekend. With how my brain works, when I'm busy at work, I tend to not sleep so well. I have a really hard time relaxing. Yeah. So, the last few weeks I've been quite often awake from 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning and not going back to sleep. And yeah, that's just how I am. It's how I've always been with stuff like this. When I get close to deadlines, I get stressed. And as I've progressed through my job, I have more deadlines. But yeah, although most of the time I love my job. It's very chilled. It's interesting. But when lots of deadlines stack on top of each other, it gets a bit stressful and less chilled. So hopefully by Monday that should all be back to normal, and I'll be ahead on producing content and things will be good. So most of you probably don't care, but I'm also trying to get back into running, training again, and eating more healthily. Probably like a lot of people, when I get stressed, my diet gets pretty bad, and the kilograms have crept on in the last few months of being not so focused on my health. And I think I suffer for that. So yeah, working on that as well. Hopefully I can stick to it and get back to being more healthy and less heavy and more fit. So making good progress on this field. So the way Proceed works with this setup, we get a tram line every third row. So we're running down track 3 of 3 now. As I lift up the seeder, nothing happens. When I lower the seeder down, it will go on to track 1, which won't have a tram line, and then track 2 does have a tram line. There are a bunch of funnies about how you might want to start things depending on how you have all your tram lines set up. The Proceed GitHub has a really good manual on how to set that up, so go look at that, because I'm not that. I tend to struggle with making tram lines look good. I do have a tutorial video on how it works, and I go through how to do it in there because I sat and studied the manual for a bit. It gets harder if you have even track numbers, basically, so I tend to run odd track numbers because that makes life easier. And it's to do with how you start after the headlands and stuff. So yeah, I stick with odd track numbers and it gets much easier. But you'll see now when we drop down the seeder and I'm trying to get it right on the other tram line, we put a tram line down because we're on track 2. Yeah, I just really like, for me, they add a layer of realism to how a field looks, because in the UK, most fields have tram lines in, because, there's field work that happens whilst the crops are growing, all the spraying and stuff. Yeah, and so that's why I like them, because they look good. That's pretty much it. It does make it easier for applying herbicide if needed. These fields won't need herbiciding because they've been ploughed. Because of the crops they had in them before, they will probably get a sprinkling of herbicide to make precision farming happy. Actually, that caused an interesting comment on that, as to because I quite often will do that to maximise the environmental score, as to whether I should just be accepting the hit because it's what would happen. Interesting comment. On here I won't be, but maybe on some of the other ones I should be. Like Maypole, we should maybe just be taking the hit. I don't think I've done any herbiciding on there yet. We don't have the technology to do see and spray on there, but when we get there, maybe we just have to take the hit. Now, if we plough a field and it hasn't got weeds in, maybe we just don't go in and do that token herbiciding to get the bonus. I am quite often guilty of exploiting game mechanics like that. Like, we ploughed these fields, but because I have a direct drill, we get the bonus for direct drilling. Yeah. I can be a little bit cheaty sometimes, I guess. Anyway, last row, this is going to put a mini tram line in as well. Looks like we might have missed a tiny bit there, but I'm not going to worry about that. And I will say at this point, thanks for watching, folks, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will see you next time on Greenlands, where we will finish up all of the, well, we'll finish up as much of the grain planting as we can.